welcome to the November 6th Queen Anne's County School Board meeting, open session. Can I get a motion to resume open?
Second.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A review of closed session? Okay.
Pursuant to the general provision Articles 3-305 and 3-104, the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County met in closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals, to protect the privacy or reputation of individuals concerning a matter not related to public business, and to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the open and closed session from October the 2nd?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is our, MABE is the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, and we all serve on committees within that organization. And so we need to take a minute to assign some members to those committees. Do y'all have this sheet in front of you? Is that correct, Miss?
It's on mine.
Okay.
I do, but since there's only going to be two of you left after tonight, why don't we make the December and do
Is that
that?
going to be all right?
It's not,
No.
unfortunately, I need to submit this to.
Well, then you know what? We can nominate them for them. All right. I know, we see one out there.
One's here, so you might
You
get a
can ask
denial.
them. All right, who would like to do the budget?
I'm on legislative.
You want to
Alexis?
do, I can
Right.
do budget.
No,
if
she
you-
can have budget. I'm on legislative.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, okay, Dick, or, okay, well, no, legislative, you're doing legislative, Shannon?
Yep.
Okay. Conference program, approximately 6 meetings to plan and establish conferences.
So the-
Carrie?
The top two are required.
Oh, the rest is, okay, oh, that's not good. Does anybody volunteer to do any others?
Can we put something in like as placeholders and then change them, like once we get,
I would think
No?
a lot of,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I would think if we have our qualifications done, that all these boards are switching around as December the 1st.
Correct.
That,
Yeah.
I think at that point, when the new members get up here, they can decide on some things that have a little bit
Right.
more knowledge of what they're
okay.
doing.
Well, we've got the two required. Miss Carrie, I'm just going to put these here and I'll hand that in with my paperwork.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now moving on to the awards.
Touch that button. Start.
Sorry, I should have let you go behind.
No.
There you go.
You're fine. Oh, thanks.
Six more to choose.
Good evening. Test. Yeah, turn it on.
Good evening. Good, okay. Good evening, everyone, for the third time. We have some extra recognitions tonight that we're really excited about. The first one is Ken Island High School recognition. I'd like to call up both Principal Mr. Harding and I believe the AD, Stacy, she's here too. Yes, perfect. It gives me great pleasure to recognize Ken Island High School for being named an AP Honor Roll school. This prestigious recognition is awarded to schools that demonstrate a strong commitment to advanced placement coursework and academic excellence. Ken Island High School earned an overall bronze distinction and came incredibly close to achieving silver status, missing it just by one single point. This is a testament to the hard work and dedication of the students, teachers, and staff at Ken Island High School, and we look forward to seeing their continued success in the years to come. So congratulations.
One, two, three.
I'd ask that you stay up here because we have some additional, and I'd ask also that Mr. Schreckengoss come join us. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to both the principals for additional College Board awards.
Thank you. All right, so first I get the honor of recognizing the Ken Island High School 2024 College Board National Recognition Award recipients. Tonight we have 3 of them. So I'm going to read a little bit. Congratulations to our National AP Award recipients. We are incredibly proud to announce that the 3 of our students, and I'm going to call you by name and you can come on up as I do it. Gio Aguirre, Elsa Lavoy, and Maya Barnard. These 3 have been honored with the prestigious College Board National Recognition Award. Students are eligible for this award if they identify as African American, Hispanic, and/or will be a first-generation college student and have at least a 3.3 GPA and scored in the top 10% on the PSAT or scored a 3 or higher on 2 or more AP exams. Please join us in congratulating Gio, Elsa, and Maya.
On 3, ready? Mr. Smith, if you could move to your right just a little bit. You're on the right, there we go. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Good evening. Queen Anne's County High School would like to recognize the following students: Michael Ball, Eli Kurtz, Nicholas Burleson, Daniel Mora, and Mary Lee Klein. Mary Lee is currently, as we speak, playing in the national regional championship volleyball game. So she's doing that now. So congratulations to her. So these students have been recognized by AP College Board, and they have been awarded the College Board National Rural and Small Town Award. So this is a very prestigious award earned by students who excel academically, have taken and scored amazingly well on AP tests and the PSATs, and maintain a GPA of 3.5 or higher. And in fact, this group, their current GPA, I checked this morning, is 4.65. And all 5 combined will earn a total of 22 AP credits by the end of this year. So amazing, yes. All while attending our school, which AP defines as a small or rural town high school. So we gather tonight to recognize your achievements and say congratulations to you.
All right, on 3, ready? 1, 2, 3.
All right, so I'm back up here again. This time, though, I'll tell a brief story. About a month and a half ago, we were in the cafeteria, and that can be fun at times. And all of a sudden, out of the auditorium, I heard this sound, and I'm like, I wonder what that is, or who that is. I walk in, and Gio, who was up here a little bit ago, was playing the piano. So I asked if he would ever be interested in playing, and he said yes. Then Mr. Bell made sure this happened. So, Gio, come on up. So before I recognize the last piece here for Kent Island High School, you were self-taught about 4 years ago, is that right? Yep. That's what I was doing when I was in high school. All right. So I'm now pleased to share some exciting news about a student organization at Kent Island High School. Dr. Rankin, if you want to come on up and join me. The Interact Club, led by Ms. Phelps, has been doing remarkable work to support leadership development under the guidance of Katie McGrath and in partnership with Giving the Edge Foundation, run by Bobby Woolley and Colleen Williams. This partnership and the outstanding leadership opportunities it has provided for our students were recently recognized in a very big way. So on October 13th, our Interact Club was honored by the Baltimore Ravens with the Baltimore Ravens Honor Rose distinction. They were recognized for their commitment to community service and leadership development. As part of this recognition, nearly 50 students from Kent Island High School had the incredible opportunity to attend a Ravens game and be celebrated for their contributions. We're incredibly proud of the students, Ms. Phelps, and everyone involved in the program for their hard work and dedication to making a positive impact on both their school and community. Congratulations to the entire team for this well-deserved recognition, and we look forward to seeing more great things from the group. We have today a few student representatives, and we have Bobby Woolley and Katie McGrath. If you guys would come on up for a quick picture.
Okay, our next award is the Energizer Bunny Award, and this award is presented to a staff member who keeps going and going, and is sponsored by Bayview Financial with Mr. Chip Brittingham and Mr. Wayne Humphreys, if they'll please come forward. This month's winner nominated by Susan Walbert, if she will please come forward. And November's Energizer Bunny Award goes to Alita McGuire. Mrs. Walbert says that Ms. McGuire is a pre-kindergarten teacher at Churchill Elementary School. Like the iconic Energizer Bunny mascot, she is known for her unstoppable energy and endurance. She displays exceptional stamina, perseverance, and continuous high performance. Ms. McGuire maintains a positive attitude, much like the Energizer Bunny, which keeps beating its drum regardless of the challenges it faces. Her positive mindset and contagious smile bring joy to everyone around her. So thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, everybody here, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Right. Our next award is our Spirit Award. The Spirit Award is given to an individual who embodies the spirit of Queen Anne's County Public Schools. The November Spirit Award was nominated again by Susan Walbert, principal at Churchill Elementary School. The November Spirit Award winner is Tiffany Kennedy.
Thank you.
Mrs. Walbert says Mrs. Kennedy has spirit. She is never seen without a smile and is genuinely passionate about her work. She is caring and empathetic to all of our students. She consistently gives words of motivation and/or praise and is eager to step in and help whenever needed. Although we share Mrs. Kennedy with another school, she enters Churchill Elementary School each time as if she was with us daily. Her students love their time with her, and our staff appreciates her knowledge and her expertise for our multilingual learners. So thank you.
Proud daughter. Proud daughter. Okay, on three, ready? Thank you.
So our last awards are actually the Shining Star Awards. This award is presented to individuals in our school system who shine. This award has been nominated by Ms. Bridget Passon, our ELA supervisor, and Mr. Tolley, our CTE supervisor, and our career coaches, Karen Henson and Betsy Ricketts, if they would please come forward. Yeah, come on. Okay, sure will. Okay, so tonight's Shining Stars are Megan Boker from Queen Anne's County High School, who is not present, but we want to recognize her. Lenore Burkhart, Ken Island High School. Holly Dupleshane from Ken Island High School. Karen Hansen from Queen Anne's County High School. And David Wagner from Queen Anne's County High School. Ms. Passon says the Shining Star is being awarded to the five English 4 teachers for their creation and implementation of a career development unit. These teachers created a unit that provides seniors with opportunities to write resumes, cover letters, create LinkedIn accounts, and prepare for both a networking opportunity and mock interviews with state and local business owners and employees. On behalf of Ms. Passon, ELA Supervisor, Mr. Tolley, CT Supervisor, Ms. Henson, and Ms. Ricketts, we are grateful to these teachers for individually and collectively shining a bright light on career development for Queen Anne's County Public School seniors. Congratulations and thank you.
All right, on three, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Good job.
Mr. Schreiber. Oh, we're going to do our board recognitions. Shannon, where's Shannon?
I don't know.
I'm done with mine, and then Shannon needs to go. Consent. You can just start.
Okay. All right. So how about we just provide the certificates and stuff first?
Sure.
All right. Helen Bennett, Board President.
Congratulations, and thank you for your service.
Mark Schifanelli. And Mr. Richard Smith. So I'm not saying a lot, just a little bit. But we, from the board, we appreciate that you've always represented what you thought was in the best interest of our students. Your investment in our school community has not gone unnoticed. And thank you for your service to Queen Anne's County Public Schools.
Thank you.
Now, I'm going to ask Mr. Smith to come down this time. I know. There you go. You have your plaque, Mr. Smith. Where's your
Black.
There you go.
I'm sorry, I know, he asked me, he asked us not to do this specifically, and here we are, so, it's our fault. Okay, on three, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Congratulations to everybody again.
For allowing us to do this. Thank you.
I know, but we still have to keep our.
Sorry, guys, I was like in my own mode.
Oh, it's all,
I was in automatic mode.
And I was like, I can't do this.
Congrats.
What is it? Oh, it's me and my best friend.
I had to get my phone.
You said I'm gonna.
I emailed it to myself to make sure I had it.
Thank you.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
oh, that was fast. We moved that. Okay. Thank you guys very much. Okay. Board and staff involvement. So board involvement, who would like to go first?
Why does everybody look at me all the time?
Because you're on that end.
So I just want to echo again, thank you again for your board members, for your service to us, to the kids, to the community. Thank you, we appreciate it. I was able to attend SMS's Hispanic Heritage Celebration. If anybody has a chance to go, please go next year. The dancing, the music, the food is wonderful. I'm looking forward to attending the faculty art show in the next couple of days, and then also the production of Fools at Ken Island coming up.
Thank you. Anyone else?
All right, sure. I'll just dive right in. As most of you know, that this is Ms. Bennett, Mr. Smith, and my last board meeting. We've completed Helen and I, our first 4 years and last 4 years of public service on the board as board members. For Mr. Smith, obviously, he's been here many, many years, on and off over the years, and doing a great job. So I had some time over the weekend to reflect on the last 4 years, and you know, they say that nostalgia, or being nostalgic, is when you look back on an era of your life and you think of all the great things that happened during that era, all the good things, and there's a little human psychology in there, because you tend to forget about, your brain helps you forget about the bad times, the challenges, the very difficult times, and that sort of thing. So giving it some thought over the weekend, I found that it was very difficult to get that feeling of nostalgia. And, you know, Helen and I came on board as write-ins for the Board of Education. We won in a landslide election, and that was in 2020. And I'll just refresh everybody's memory, I'm sure I don't need to. It was the year that COVID struck. So in the spring of 2020, we weren't sure what COVID was all about. It resulted ultimately in lockdowns. The schools were closed, and after the summer, it was obvious that COVID was not as serious as everybody thought it was at the beginning. And we watched the board meetings, and I saw Mr. Smith trying to vote to reopen the schools, and he was getting voted down every time. The people who elected us to the board wanted the schools to be reopened. There was no question about that. I was watching my 5th grader in the spring struggle with his laptop, his Chromebook at home, and I knew that even though distance learning was in effect and the teachers were doing an amazing job with that novel teaching method, it wasn't a substitute for in-person learning. And we clearly saw afterwards the real learning and emotional learning losses that occurred with those students. It was also no secret that I wasn't happy with the last superintendent, not only for recommending schools remain closed after we realized that COVID had a survival rate of 99.98%, but also because of the condition that the schools were in. We were short on teachers. The central staff was operating at about 75%. Some of you, the members of the staff, a lot of them aren't here tonight, were wearing 2 or 3 hats at that time just to keep things going. There was little to no effort in recruiting to fill those teacher spots, and especially the central staff spots. So I ran along with Helen, who I just met at the time, on a write-in basis, and it's been a very rewarding experience since. But being on the board has not always been pleasant. At one of my first meetings, some people who I didn't know and who evidently didn't know me came to open session and called me some very horrible things, not least of all that I was a racist. The things they accused me of, I really thought, because they were so inaccurate and untrue, that they were mistaking me for somebody else. There was no other way that that could be not the case. Emails, phone messages with such vitriol, some of which I shared with my colleagues, and some I had to report to the sheriff because there were clear threats of violence and vandalism. One of the first motions I made was to reopen schools for in-person learning because I was sure we had a majority now who wanted the schools open. I was accused by some members of the Teachers Association of secretly wanting to murder the teachers. Murder by COVID, I guess. The motion failed after only Helen and I had voted in favor of it. The schools remained closed. When I mentioned the achievement gap during an open meeting, a teacher filed a federal civil rights complaint against me. I don't know how that worked, but it was dismissed or there was no action taken. In 2022, a concerned teacher sent me a PowerPoint presentation used for in-house teacher training that was promoting collectivism over individualism, the two polar opposites of modern socio-political theory. I shared that publicly. The result was an ethics complaint directed by the state teachers union. They attacked my integrity, accusing me of the theft of public property, in other words, the PDF that the teachers shared with me, and that I engaged in some sort of conflict of interest, although they couldn't articulate exactly what the two interests that I had that were in conflict, or what decision or what vote that I had engaged in where the conflict had arisen. But I had to defend my reputation. And while ethics complaints and proceedings are confidential to protect reputations like mine, when the union did not get the result they wanted, they appealed to the State Board of Education. Now, under the law, they clearly had no right to appeal to the state, and the State Board of Education summarily dismissed it. But by doing so, they made their accusations public. The only reason I could think of was because at the time, I was married to the Republican candidate for lieutenant governor, and perhaps by smearing me, they would be able to smear her as well. When I voted against the purchase of a book that I saw as promoting illegal immigration and a skewed vision of Americanism, I was likened to a, quote, Nazi book burner by a former colleague of ours. I was even called a right-wing patriot, as if patriot is a pejorative, because I was backed by a group of residents who also saw where our schools were heading and wanted a course correction. However, in spite of all that, in 2020, had I known all that would occur, I would not have changed my decision to run for the board. I've had the honor of working with some of the most talented and dedicated people that make up our central staff, our principals and school staffs, and our teachers throughout the county. I was privileged to witness their dedication and competence during an unprecedented national and state catastrophe, the pandemic, a catastrophe in every sense of that word, and to watch how they adapted to novel teaching methods in order to mitigate what could have been a much larger learning and social development loss for our kids. I saw former employees come out of retirement in order to fill seats here voluntarily when needed and without question. I've been privileged to see the central staff operating to successfully mitigate the financial and economic effects of the Maryland General Assembly's monolithic blueprint for Maryland. More to come on that, you guys who are staying. I played my part in vetting and recruiting a new superintendent who is extremely competent. She quickly assessed the dire situation that the school was in and took effective steps to remedy it, including hiring professionals like our human resources officer, Dr. Knowles, and others, curing the central staff and teacher shortages, and really shaking things up from a professional and leadership development standpoint. And Dr. Knowles, I don't know if I just said that, but he was the human resources appointed, right? And it was, he's not here tonight, but there was a very aggressive recruiting program that evolved immediately after that. Those teacher shortages were filled, and the central staff was at 100%, including promoting our Matt Kibler. And I call it a promotion to assistant superintendent. And I'm sure one day he'll make a fine, top-notch superintendent, but that's where you're going.
Thank you.
We were able to revitalize Constitution Day in support of the board's statutory duty to instill patriotism and love of country in the student body. That's part of the law. With the initiative of several residents and parents, we became the first public school system in Maryland to host a competition target shooting team. I watched many successes play out with the curriculum, extracurriculars, policy updates, et cetera, and more than once we were able to keep woke ideology from infiltrating into some of our policies. So I congratulate the 3 new members, and I hope they find their service to the county as board members just as rewarding as I did, and hopefully without all the other stuff. So thank you very much, and it's been an honor and pleasure to work with all of you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's hard to follow.
It is, isn't it? I know, I know.
Because
That was 4 years worth in 3 minutes.
I only got 1 month. Let's see. Back on the legislative committee meeting have started back up. There have been a number of folks that have reached out to us talking about budget items and issues. I'm going to take the opportunity to reach back out to you as we collectively get folks together to have some conversations with our legislative committee out in Annapolis to see what we can do to help out our organization and help us fund our schools a little bit better. In addition to that, let's see. Participated in a blueprint training session, 3 hours of my life I'll never get back, but it's okay. But the one highlight for this month, which really, 2 things. Read Strong Maryland, had that meeting this month, and talked about better ways to get our students reading on a regular basis. And in addition to that, the one highlight for, technically it was November 1st, but go and see the plays. The one at Kent Island, I saw this past Friday. It was awesome. I can't wait to see the one at Queen Anne's County, but our students are amazing.
Mr. Smith?
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for the support I've had over the last years, because this system is what it is because of the parents, the students, and the faculty around here. It's a great place to work. Queen Anne's County is a great place to live. But what you find as a board member, we all have different ideas. We all try to work for the best interest of the system. But you'll find out also there's limitations what you can and can't do. You got to watch making promises until you know exactly all the facts. And I agree with Mark, COVID was a bad time for us. But also with the health department and some of the things they put on us. And when we came back into school, when we had to sit there and wear masks and things of that nature, if we didn't keep our distance and some child came down with COVID, we could shut that whole school down. So there was a lot more involvement than just sitting there saying a switch on and off. Now, we might not all agree on certain things, but I think we all do is try to sit there and work and make sure we do it for the best interest and not disrupt any more than we have to. And it takes time, but overall, we do come to the right conclusion. Sometimes we don't all agree on it, but we will work it out.
Thank you. For me, I did want to say it was really nice to see the Shining Star Awards, because I did attend the Career Readiness event at Kent Island, and it was so impressive. I mean, the kids with their resumes and their headshots and the way they presented, it was really very nice to see. I also prepared, it is a tough act to follow. I echo some of Mark's and Dick's that it's been wonderful working with so many people. It's been a memorable 4 years, and a lot of good and some bad. So I'm just going to read from my notes. It has been both a great privilege and a great responsibility to represent Queen Anne's County, and especially those in District 3 these last 4 years. I am very aware that I'm a public servant and humbled that you trusted me to make decisions on behalf of your family. A couple of things to note. Be wary of the new Maryland mandate for universal full-day pre-K. Your children are super impressionable up until about the age of 8, and who and what do you want them learning from? Believe me, America has turned out amazing, successful, creative, industrious graduates for over 2 centuries and didn't need classroom instruction at age 3. Those children are yours. Be careful not to concede too much power to other people over them. To those, including the National Education Association, who state that educators need a strong voice, quote, pushing back on extremist groups trying to ban books in our schools, I say, determining curriculum is the purview of the elected board. When we make a decision on whether we think a particular book for a particular age group is appropriate or not, that is not book banning, that is fulfilling our role. If you want your child to read that secondary novel, it's available at the library, Amazon, Books A Million, etc. And again, those kids are yours. You can have them read whatever book you would like. During the last 4 years, we have voted to open our schools and remove masks, although it took a little bit longer than we wanted to. We hired a new, amazing superintendent who really came in and we were skeleton crew, a skeleton everything, and she did a fantastic job. So thank you, Dr. Salins. The Clay Target Team, yes, we were the first public schools in Maryland to have the Clay Target Team. Not only do we get accolades and so many awards, but scholarships as well, so we're very proud of that. And other schools school districts are also looking into that. Cursive has been returned to the curriculum. We were very excited about that. That was hard won. It took us months to get that through. And it's not just about cursive, it's about there is something in your brain that just works better when you have to put stuff down on paper with your hands. We have expanded our CT offerings and made the trades a high priority, as it should be. We are so proud of those who choose to make a living with their hands. They will always be able to feed their families. We have worked hard to provide equity and opportunity, but recognizing that equal outcomes will not be the result of equal opportunity. And always, my decisions have been made with parents in mind. I would like to say congratulations to our new members, Carrie, Matt, and Kendra. It takes courage to run for an office. As Mark shows out, you do get a lot of negative stuff from people who have never met you in their lives, but assume they know all about you. I too was called a racist, and I had never been called that ever in my 60-something years. I have to say, though, remember, always ask questions, and I hope I never say these words ever again in life. You need to do a deep dive into subjects to really find out what's going on. Remember that all the staff in the school district are Dr. Salins, but Dr. Salins is your employee. She's accountable to you, just as you are accountable to the people. And I wish you much success. A few things I know. Oh, and I also do want to do special recognitions that I'm here. I wanted to say thank you especially to Mark, who I hadn't met him before we ran. He's an amazing man, so calm and inflappable. The Special Forces, he loves his country. I'm so appreciative, Mark, for what you've done. Lex has been a fresh of breath there. She's been my sounding board sometimes when I are emotionally off the charts. And I also want to say a special thanks to my husband, Bob, who came to the first meeting ever in 4 years for his support, because you can't really run for office and be effective without something else paying the price. And that would be my wonderful husband. And my son, Julian, who's now watching from a base in the United States, I hope I've made you proud, as I am of you. And the last thing is I want to say thank you to the 6,700 residents who took the time to write in myself and Mark's name, because you wanted the schools to go in a direction and that it wasn't doing, and we hope that, he thinks this is too, that we've made that happen. So a few things I know. Teachers are amazing. The central office staff are amazing. Being a part of the Queen Anne's County public school system really drives home that it takes a village. As Richard Feynman, he's a noted American physicist, stated, though, never confuse education with intelligence. Another thing, we did not evolve from apes, order does not come from chaos, and there are only two genders. And your kids are your kids. Parental rights and freedom to make the choices for your family are paramount. Don't give up your rights, but always be kind to everyone. Thank you for your trust. Thanks to everyone in this room who have made the last 4 years so memorable. I wish everybody much success. Thank you. Okay, student members, I am so sorry. Ms. Smith or Ms. Schrader, whoever wants to go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So as was mentioned, our theater department's Fools that they have worked so hard on, it opened last weekend, and it is playing again this Friday and Saturday, and tickets are available on our website, our school website. As we speak, the Kent Island QA volleyball game is going on at Queen Anne's High School. I know somebody mentioned that. Not sure how that's going right now, but, and then this Friday at 6 p.m., we have a home playoff game, our first playoff game at our school. And then Monday, the 11th, Veterans Day, we'll have a flag display near the stadium. Thursday, the 14th, we are hosting a rehearsal during the day. A combined choir with all the Ken Island elementary and middle schools and our choir, and then our performance at 6 p.m. at our school. And then November 18th through 22nd is National Apprenticeship Week, run by Miss Hessen, our career coach, who was just up here not too long ago. And Friday, the 22nd, is our Student of the Month ceremony. So not as much as October, but still some exciting things going on.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
So November 8th, report cards are being emailed home. And as mentioned, our fall play, Emma, is happening November 8th, 9th, and the 16th at 6 p.m. and November 17th at 2 p.m. The week of November 11th is the FBLA food drive. November 12th, we're doing learner's permit testing at our school. The 14th, we're having college application and scholarship sessions. November 15th, winter sports begin. The week of November 18th is National Apprenticeship Week. The 19th, Chesapeake College Registration Day. The 20th, for Salisbury University, we have on-site admissions day. The 22nd, we're doing Operation Christmas Child Shoebox Collection event for service learning, which is through our Interact Club. Then the 26th is the last call for senior portraits, and the 27th to the 29th is Thanksgiving break.
Thank you very much. All right.
Going on. Thank
It
you,
is a
ladies.
lot going on.
Yeah, I love it. So I've had an opportunity to get into most of the schools at this point for my very first visit, and it's been nice to get into classrooms and started reading to students and things like that. I echo all of the information about the plays. I will be going Saturday. I'm super excited, and I already have my tickets for, thanks to Dr. Bell, for Queen Anne, so I'm looking forward to both of those. And then I just want to take an opportunity, really, Mr. Schiafinelli, Mrs. Bennett, and Mr. Smith were the only 3 board members here when I was hired. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve Queen Anne's County Public Schools, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, this is the time where you get to speak. Who do we have on the list there, Ms. Shannon?
Oh, we have a nice list. We ask all speakers to keep in mind the following guidelines. Speakers should sign the roster, including their phone number and address. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes in length. Who's going to do that?
Matt's got it already.
Gotcha. Comments longer than 3 minutes should be submitted in writing. Statements to the board should relate to a matter of general policy over which this board has authority. Comments about the actions or statements of individual staff members are not appropriate for public comment and should be referred to the superintendent of schools or the board president. If you have specific questions, the board will make sure an appropriate staff member responds to your question. The board respects your desire and right to convey your message freely, but asks as a courtesy to this board and our citizens that you show respect for all. First on the list, Lindsay Thompson.
A lot of pressure on my
Don't
first
let, yeah,
time.
don't let it throw you off there.
Let's just turn it into one. everybody.
All right. Good evening, members of the board, superintendent. My name is Lindsay Thompson, and I'm a lifelong resident of Queen Anne's County, a graduate of Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I actually sat in those seats right there when I was in high school, but now, most importantly, I'm the mother of 3 young children, 2 of which are already in Queen Anne's County Public Schools and elementary school. I understand that some of you will no longer be here after this meeting, but I did want to address a couple of things as I understand budget discussions have already occurred, and I'm hoping that the new board members are either in the audience or listening. The first issue that I wanted to address is operations and maintenance. When questioned about the necessity of the new Board of Education building at this meeting in August, the response was, we want our staff to work in the same great conditions as our teachers. And honestly, had it not been for that statement, I would not be here today. That's really what pushed me over the edge to address a lot of these things publicly. When my son started pre-K last year, he had an inoperable bathroom in his pre-K classroom with 24 pre-K students. And it had been inoperable since June. It took 20 parents complaining about that to get the bathroom fixed that was not fixable because we had to bust through the block, but then magically fixed over Labor Day weekend. It shouldn't take this kind of parent outcry when teachers and administrators have already made operations aware in order to get things fixed. I also wonder if you visited schools and seen the molding ceiling ties or experienced the inoperable HVAC, or seen that the temperatures are not able to be mandated within the MSDE range. The core values of Queen Anne's County Public Schools include on your website providing safe and nurturing environment for our students. My observation of children with respiratory issues that are alleviated after leaving certain classrooms, coming home off the bus drenched in sweat from 86-degree classrooms multiple days, and afraid to use disgusting bathrooms all day is not fulfilling your mission. When I asked last year where the pre-K classrooms at Centerville Elementary were gonna go, I was told, well, there's more space there than you would really think. That's a disingenuous answer, honestly, because the answer was that they were going to eliminate one class from each of the upper grades, leaving those classes ballooning to 26 students and those teachers overwhelmed, as well as the students, with less specialist and para support, and then adding insult to injury, furloughed for 5 days. I understand that there is issues with implementing the blueprint, but since fiscal year 2021, there is $20.15 million in operating budget in your published budget. And so I would just ask moving forward into this next budget session that we really consider what's best for our students.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Jordana Schiffinelli.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordana Schiffinelli. I'm Mark's wife, and I just wanted to come here. I came here 4 years ago, and I came here today to really, really thank you for literally everything you've done thus far. This is a COVID generation of the school board members. Again, we've heard that from my husband, Mark. But it's important that I tell you from like the house perspective, how that was when, you know, he goes to the school board meetings and then comes home and then goes through the internet and tries to answer everybody's questions, tries to dig through the law, tries to go above and beyond to answer parents' concerns and everybody else's concerns. Paper masks never worked. This is a Board of Education. We are focused and guided by science. Paper masks never worked. It's not scientific, and it's silly. The children's masks were hanging, they were drooling, they were sweaty, they were dirty, and getting respiratory illnesses. Even at one school board meeting, I would see one of the school board members, Mr. Smith, 35 times moving his mask up and down, and the whole county was laughing at that school board meeting. So sticking to the science is what I would give as a message to the new coming board members and those who stay. Stick to your common sense. Focus on the children's well-being. That would be what I would tell all the school board members that are coming up now. We got 3 new ones that I haven't had a chance to meet. But I can tell you, my 3 boys have thrived in Queen Anne's County. The oldest one is in law school. The middle guy is a robotics engineering program in Florida. And the youngest one is in Can Island High School playing JV football and on a swim team. We cannot be more proud. Dr. Salins, I don't know if I have a right to mention you, but we believe that you have done beyond and above the call of duty at the time when you came to Queen Anne's County to save us and to help us. And I would really, really strongly urge other school board members that are coming to work with you to, if possible, extend your contract until my son graduates. I'm speaking from an individualistic perspective and self-interest. You are the best there is. And with that, again, thank you so much. I, however, forget all the bad side, and I'm looking at a positive 4 years going forward. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Alexis, and thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amanda? On Frio? D'Onofrio? I'm sorry.
About that. Better than Janoni Noniokio. I got that at the hospital. That was a poor job there. Okay, D'Onofrio, yes. So, hello, everyone. I wanted to first say thank you. I know I can't name individual names, but thank you to the two of you who took the time to respond to some of my emails and some of the questions that I've answered that I've asked at meetings like this. I do appreciate the time, and I do genuinely want answers to my questions as I've expressed. I was going to say something about facilities and the conditions of the buildings, but that was so well articulated, I don't think I can follow that. So what I will say is that while I'm happy that the furloughs helped so that people didn't lose their jobs, they are not a solution going forward. They don't work for me as a parent, for many other parents, and they don't work to support the teachers who are already sacrificing so much of themselves to help our children catch up after COVID. COVID may be over, but the impact of COVID on our children's learning, especially early learners for their reading and mathematics, we are still feeling the effects of that. And is the teachers who are working beyond what they should have to in classrooms that are overfilled with a lack of support that are trying to make this happen. And furlough days don't help them. As a stay-at-home mom, it didn't affect my income to have a furlough day, but while I'm working towards a degree since I've left hospitality management, 3 half days of school followed the following week by 2 full days off did have an effect on me working towards my degree. And I'm sure 3 half days of school and 2 full days off affected many other families who do not have the good fortune to have one parent able to stay at home with the children and have to sacrifice their work. Not to mention the teachers who may have maybe both people in that family work as educators and their income is doubly impacted by that furlough. It is an unacceptable solution, and it is one as we work towards the budget going forward that I do not want to see. I know that we have issues with the blueprint for Maryland, but it does make a lot of good points. And I do think that we need to work harder to get our teachers' starting salaries and professional salaries where they should be so that they can start to, they can't even start to meet what the teachers put out. But if we can show them some of the respect that's asked of us every time we speak here, the respect enough to answer an email, the respect enough to answer a question, that would be a step in the right direction, because there are a lot of quotes that were mentioned today, and I can't quote it exactly, but Churchill once said that he doesn't judge people by the words they speak, but by their actions.
Thank you. Richard McNeil.
They put me in the back row tonight.
Love the shirt.
Good evening. And as I get started, I want to say thanks to the folks who are leaving. And I understand there's a box with my name on it. And so
Yes,
I don't know
there's a
what that
box,
is, but
yeah.
I'll be more than happy to look at that. And thanks for your support and dedication. It is a tough job. And being in a leadership role, you get the good and the bad. Most of the time, it's the attack that really zips in. So thank you for not remembering those, but remembering the good things. So we appreciate that.
Thanks.
For the folks who are out in television land, I want to say thanks for showing up for the ALS walk. It was a great turnout and a wonderful young lady who's going through that, Pam Edwards, and it was just a wonderful day, and over 200 or 300 people were out there at the park. So that's in television land out there. Our group, in October, we collected and delivered over 50 cases of water to the nurse's office throughout the county. And that was a lot more than what we had last year. And it's surprisingly how heavy a case of water is. And when you're trying to carry 2 into a building, it just doesn't work. At least I've got to work out on that. We also decorated over 30 pumpkins and delivered those to some of our members who can't come out because of illness. But we also took a bunch of them to Corsica Hills, and the folks there were just ecstatic over the talent that we have in our group for doing that. I understand also that coming in 2025, there won't be any real changes to our health package, and talking with Human Resources on that, and we thank you for that. And as my message is, if there is going to be a change, if you could let us know so we could prepare, because I know a couple years ago when that happened, January 1st, it was kind of a nightmare for a lot of our folks, but we do appreciate working with together on that. One of the things that I'm concerned about as we get a new administration in on the federal level, and I may have mentioned this before, is Project 25, the educational part of that. Because if you read that, if you haven't read it, I would encourage you to maybe summarize that. It's about 180 pages, just that segment of it in terms of the education. But some of the aspects of that, in my opinion, will be very damaging to states financially. And of course, eventually, if it hits the state, it comes down to the local. And we just have to wait and see how that all plays out. But thank goodness the election's over as far as I'm concerned. I'm tired of the ads and so forth, so. But thank you, and again, thanks for your service. And Mr. Smith, I'll see you in the coffee shop every once in a while. We'll talk other things.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting up with me.
Barbara Obert.
There's no doubt about it. It is extremely difficult to serve on a school board anywhere in America, and Queen Anne's County is no exception. So I am here to express my appreciation for anybody who's served, who's leaving the board now, who's coming into the board. Thank you for everything you do. I think the best way to show my perspective on this appreciation is to share an anecdote, though. My children were students in Queen Anne's County schools, and I pulled them from Queen Anne County schools. At the time I pulled them, you had teachers who were infighting about, doing a power struggle and who was going to be the one to determine how to implement Common Core curriculum in my kids' classrooms. You had math teachers who, as the Google Chromebooks came in, they were just pulling down printouts off the internet, even word problems with grammatical errors, and passing them out in high-level classes. And the Great Books program never read a single book. They were printouts of stories. So I pulled my kids from the schools. And I'll be honest with you, I was pretty pleased when COVID came around and Queen Anne County schools shut down, and my kids were in Catholic schools across the bridge, because the Archdiocese of Baltimore made the determination that with proper precautions and taking care, that kids could go to school. So my children missed no school. They went to school, they played in their sports within season, they had extracurricular programs and a great education at that time. But in my own neighborhood, one of the things that I saw, there was a restaurant in the neighborhood. During this COVID shutdown time, while kids weren't in school, there were cars coming in from 5 states around, pulling off their masks, eating and drinking, while the proprietor was making money, serving people, and yet voting to keep the schools closed. Children were running in the streets in the neighborhood during the school day, but my children were getting educated across the bridge. So when I had the opportunity to work on the write-in campaign for Mr. Schiffinelli and Mrs. Bennett, I leaped at it. And you know what happened to me in the parking lot as I was sharing information? A number of teachers who were active parts of the teachers union came up. They recognized my kids. They were A students. They said, what do you have a say in this? You have no right to be here. Your kids don't even go to our school. And I said, yeah, but my tax dollars do. And now I'm paying double because I had to send them elsewhere so they can get an education. So I'm so glad you got elected. And I'll tell you, Dr. Salins, you came in at such a difficult time. And I have followed the progress, though, ever since that time. And I have to tell you, you have made great progress under duress and returned the school system to a once proud school system from before when I had pulled my kids. And if they were still in school today, I would proudly be returning them to the system in the way it is today. So thank you, Mrs. Bennett. Thank you, Mr. Schiffinelli. And thank you, Dr. Salins, for your service at a difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah Lawrence.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Lawrence. I have 2 children in the school system. I've got a daughter in Centerville and a son in KES at Kennard. I come this evening to discuss a focus on the budget and how it does relate to specialists, tutors, special education, teachers, and students. The lack of funding in less teachers and specialists has had a direct impact on our family. Our son needs an IEP, and his requirements are not being met due to the lack of resources. This is resulting in him falling farther and farther behind, increased frustrations, hating school, and causing mental health concerns. Our son has dyslexia. 1 in 5 have dyslexia, 20% of the population. And it's amazing how something that you can't see can have such a massive impact on your social life, academically, because he can't read, and he's in 3rd grade. So he had been getting one-on-one tutoring, as his IEP had been stating, 30 minutes per day, 4 times a week. Now he's in a flex block with 17 other struggling readers. He deserves to learn just like every other child at the school. It makes me want to highlight a couple of things that I've been researching lately. The 2024 State of Reading in Maryland shows a 10-year decline for Maryland students, and in 2022, only 31 of 4th grade students in Maryland were proficient in reading. Looking further, the Maryland School Report Card in 2018 versus 2023. 2018, and I'm focusing on special education. The 4-year graduation rate for students with disabilities in 2018 was 81.4%. In 2023, the 4-year graduation rate for students with disabilities was 60%. It is unfair to expect the teachers to replace the specialists and tutors. The teachers are already strained. Not to beat a dead horse, but the furlough days are causing the workloads to increase with the shortened staffs. There's less money, less work time, and more responsibilities. There was a great loss of teachers, but not nearly as many in the central office. Teachers are exhausted. Our kids play soccer, they swim, they're in piano. We are friends with the teachers. I am here to support the teachers and to support the students. Class sizes are rising. I asked 10 of my friends, it's 25 plus. It's the new norm. We're looking for better allocation of funds, and many parents that I'm talking to are considering pulling their kids, including my family, because it's so important that the academic needs and the mental health needs are met. And when they're not, it affects the entire family and the community. We deserve better. The teachers deserve better, and the students deserve better. So I leave you with my question: what is the path forward to ensure that students and teachers receive the funding and resources that they need to be successful in our schools and our local community? Thank you.
Thank you.
Cecilia Mitchell.
Far back, gonna limp. Good evening, I'm Cecilia Mitchell. I'm the president of the Queen Anne's County Education Association. Let me unfold this. You pushed start already. Okay, just quickly, in case you don't know, the association meets with the superintendent every month. We bring forward member concerns. Something that came up in our last meeting was the scuttlebutt about running out of sub money. The superintendent told us that that was not accurate, and if I remember correctly, we're tracking about the same as last year for that funding. So if you have a question, bring it forward and we can get answers. So I'm an educator, and my business is literally the future and hope. Our schools are the building blocks of that future. I'm here tonight to implore all members of our community, many of whom have already started to step up, to advocate for full funding of our schools and future budgets. The board will soon have new members, as has been discussed this evening. A new administration will also be installed on the federal level, as Mr. McNeil mentioned. The competition for dollars to fund our schools will continue as it has in the past and may seriously intensify if those revenue streams change. We have 3 streams for revenue, in case you don't know at home. So it's state dollars, federal dollars, and local dollars. And those dollars are set by priorities, and we need to have those relationships with the decision makers. We cannot have a repeat of this year's budget crisis. The measures put in place are admittedly Band-Aids. The notion that the fix was a good deal is frankly nonsense. We need to do better for the sake of our schools, families, and ultimately our students' future. Each of us, people at home, in the room, everywhere across the county, need to accept the responsibility to advocate at all levels for full funding of our schools. Before this board, which is changing, before our commissioners, and yes, at the state and federal level, every single way we can. Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last one on the list.
Thank you very much. All right, can I get a motion to approve the Human Resources Report as presented?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Smith, I didn't even see you, and you were standing up. She was behind, she was way in the back too.
Nice.
Thank you for that.
She was in the back too.
It's okay.
Everybody's in the
It
back
allows me to
row.
weave through like crowded areas. It's okay. All right. Good evening, President Bennett, board members, Dr. Salins, members of the executive team. For the record, my name is Jolene Smith. I am the supervisor of special education, and I bring a couple items before you this evening. The first item on the agenda is a contract approval for a school psychologist. This is for Jo Prince, so she is a private contractor, and so we actually already have a contract with her. It was for 1 school. We're increasing that to cover 2 schools, and this is to meet the needs of an HR change that you are aware of.
I do have a quick question. It does say that we're supporting 6 positions with our local budget. Do we currently, after November, do we currently have 6 psychologists? This 7th one will bring us to the ratio of the 1 per 1,072. Is that correct? Or we
So
now have?
we have 6 that we fund through local funding,
Right,
and then we
okay.
have 1 that's funded through grant funding. So one of those positions is vacant. It's actually 1.5 that's vacant.
Okay.
So this will bring us up 0.5.
Back to probably the 1, okay. And my understanding, Maryland, ideally, we want a 1 to 500, is that correct? But we're not doing poorly compared to, there's some schools that don't have any, so.
Correct.
Okay.
We do not have the worst ratio in the state. It is still more than what it should be, absolutely. And this is something that the state is actually working on establishing funding for using Medicaid funding to support certain services that our school psychologists are not able to bill for currently, and they will be able to bill for in the future. And that will allow us to kind of increase our revenue through MA billing. That will hopefully help us increase our school psychologists within the building, thereby bringing that ratio down.
Thank you.
So this will actually be a contract in the amount of $54,600. Like I said, it's covering 2 schools, and it's from November 11th through the remainder of this school year.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, a motion?
Motion for the board to approve the contract with Jo Prince for school psychology services, fiscal impact $54,600. Budget source is unrestricted operating budget.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I also bring before you for action, non-public tuition for the St. Elizabeth School in the amount of $138,158.56, coming from the FY25 restricted and unrestricted operating budget.
You can go ahead and do the other two if you'd like, if everyone's okay with that. You can go ahead and ask
Give
for
all
all of them,
three.
yes.
Oh, okay, sure. In addition to that, I have a tuition request for Kennedy Krieger, the Fairmount campus, and that is in the amount of $121,060.40. And then the third is for the Strawbridge School, and that is in the amount of $114,680.66.
Thank you. And just for everyone to know, we have discussed this because of confidentiality. We don't discuss the students or the schools and things, which is why we do it in closed session and then we approve it in open session. So we've already heard about this. Does anyone have any questions about the contracts?
Make a motion, we approve all three.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You do the same. Sorry, I'm still signing. Give me 1 second. She was faster than I was. Okay, all right. Mr. Barraclough.
Good evening, President Bennett, Vice President Bent, board members, executive team, Superintendent Salins. For the record, my name is Darryl Barraclough. I am the Supervisor of Facilities and Design. Come before you this evening for two matters. The first is the award for the surveillance camera installation at the new central office building. You may recall earlier this year, we bid out an indefinite duration, indefinite quantity contract, IDIQ, for surveillance camera access control and similar low voltage work. That project was bid and it was awarded May 15th, 2024. The contractor that it was awarded to was Skyline Technology Solutions. They were given the scope of work for the surveillance camera installation, and they came back with a total cost of $62,829.27. This price was reviewed against the IDIQ pricing that was presented and approved with their contract in May, and everything was in accordance with that contract. So we're seeking approval for the award of that contract.
I do have a question. It does say that the cabling to be provided by general contractor and price does not include the cabling, and I noticed that's also for the next contract. Do we have an idea of what that's going to cost, the cabling?
It's in the contract for the general contractor is installing that, and that's part of the contract that he's already under contract for. So the wiring is already bought and paid for with what we're buying through the general contractor, Doyle Construction.
Okay, so what does it mean when it says price does not include cabling?
Skyline is not doing the
Okay,
cabling, so
okay.
they're
But
not
it's in
doing.
here, the price is in here for that.
The price of the cabling was bought and paid for with the contract that we awarded to Doyle Contracting 12 months ago thereabouts, so.
Doyle did the hard wiring.
It's hardwire, yes,
And then-
yes, so they're doing all the wiring, all of the work that's basically concealed in the walls, all of the backbone is all in contract with the general contractor. This contract is for the purchase of the cameras, the installation of the cameras, the licensing that is associated with the cameras, and the programming and integrating that into our Genetec.
It's compatible with our other security things.
Absolutely, it's the same contractor, and it's going to be under the same, under the new system that we're bringing online that we started over the summer.
Any other questions? Have a motion?
Motion to approve the purchase order with Skyline Technology Solutions to install the access control system at the new central office building. Fiscal impact $57,001.35. Budget source FY 2025 county CIP funds.
Actually,
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
That's actually the next one that I'm
Yeah,
presenting.
you did, it's a.
Sorry.
It's the
It did.
surveillance
It
cameras
did.
that, yeah.
Sorry. So all of that, but the new budget number is $62,829.27. Budget source is the FY 2025 county CIP funds.
Second that one.
All those in
Thank you.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next.
Very good. Next, surprise, I'm presenting the access control. The access control system, similar to the camera installation, was bid and awarded through the IDIQ contract with Skyline Technologies. They were given the scope of work. We reviewed the scope of work. Their quote was in accordance with the pricing and terms and conditions with the IDIQ. Again, similar to the camera system, the wiring, backbone, and all of that is in Doyle's contract for the construction of the basic building. Skyline is coming out and installing the card readers, the two-way intercom device at a couple of the doors, the licensing that's associated with those devices, and the programming and integration into our access control system. And that price is $57,001.35.
Anyone have any questions?
We already have a motion and a second, if I'm not mistaken.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Thank you all.
All right, we have high school happenings with, that's a good question.
Two coaches.
Thank you, yes, our two coaches. Oh, actually,
It's a
Sesson,
party.
Ms. Rick-
Yeah.
yeah, right? All right. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you look like,
IT.
okay.
IT
There you go.
is ready to
Get
go.
that hat on,
IT
right?
timer.
There it is.
I clicked it off.
That works better.
They did not need that IT help.
Good evening, President Bennett, members of the board, Dr. Salins, and members of the executive team. For the record, my name is Bridget Passon. I'm the English Language Arts Supervisor for grades 3 through 12. Along with me,
I am Karen Hessen. I am the career coach at Kent Island High School.
Hi, I'm Betsy Ricketts. I'm the career coach at Queen Anne's County High School.
And Adam Tolley, Supervisor of Career and Technical Education.
embedding a career development unit has been a goal of mine for a while, as it measures career readiness standards for our students, which are an important aspect of the overall ELA standards in writing, speaking, and listening. Additionally, it's really important that our students get to practice their interviewing skills, being able to clearly articulate their strengths and aspirations, nonverbal communication, such as consistent eye contact and a confident handshake. When I tried to bring this goal to fruition, it got really hard to do because I needed a school-based partner, and I wasn't about to put one more thing on our deans or our school counselors, and along came the career coaches. So, as Betsy and Karen are going to show you momentarily, there's a lot of coordination that goes on to bring this to life. When Mr. Tolley brought them on board, I brought him my idea, and he was immediately enthusiastic about it and thought it would be a great way to join efforts. So I let Betsy and Karen settle in for a few months, and in late spring, I pitched them the idea, and before I was even done with that meeting, they were brainstorming, sharing resources, trading ideas across the table of what it would look like at each school. Together, the three of us drafted a 2-week unit that we brought to the English 4 teachers, because we needed all of them to make this unit happen, as they were responsible for teaching kids how to write the resume, the cover letter, practice answering questions, and giving that handshake. So all 5 teachers brought that to life, and we were so happy to be able to honor them earlier tonight. The rest was handled by these 2 amazing career coaches who are going to show you all the highlights and successes of our seniors at both schools. So Karen and Betsy, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you.
Yes. So working with the English teachers was amazing. I don't think I've ever met a group of teachers that were as excited about career development as we were. So for week 1, it was their show. The
I know it doesn't look like a lot on the list for week one, but getting them not just the skills, but the time to build a resume using Pathful, Google templates, and Canva was extremely important. Also, talking about a cover letter, we are entering an era where cover letters are hit or miss, but when they are required, they are needed, and it's a lost art. Having an English teacher explain how to write a cover letter just seemed like a perfect fit. And then lastly, with interview skills, we're talking about articulation and vocabulary, another point where Ms. Ricketts and I can go to town with what we know, but they're gonna definitely hit the mark way better. And they speak the slang a little bit better, so they're better at getting the slang words out and the right words in.
So for week 2, this was Karen and I kind of headed this one. So we staggered it. So we were able to support each other at each other's high schools. So for week 2, Karen and I went into the English 4 classes and we talked to students about LinkedIn, the importance of social media, the importance of scrubbing their social media. We were able to find a local photographer who actually graduated from Kent Island High School. Miss Sarah Thomas with Willow Roots Photography. Yes. She came to both high schools and provided headshots to our English 4 teachers and students at no cost to us. So it was about 300 students that she photographed.
And she's already signed up for semester 2.
So we did elevator pitches with students. We talked about 90-second elevator pitches, and then once they perfected it, got down to about 30 seconds. We did networking and active listening skills, so eye contact, not saying like I do all the time. And then we ended the week with a networking event and a mock interview event at both high schools. So we just wanted to go deeper into those events.
Here you can see the amazing headshots from our students. It does not even look like they are at their schools, but both sessions were held within the school limits. So the hallway of Kent Island High School and the courtyard of Queen Anne's.
And the photos were shared with students. They each had 2 poses. They had standing and sitting. And the next day they were so excited. They all crowded around the computer looking at each other's headshots. So they loved it. So this was the networking event. Photos are from both Kent Island and Queen Anne's County High School. So we had local businesses come in. We had military recruiters. We had parent volunteers come in. And they just did a networking event. So students came up, they made eye contact, shook hands, they introduced themselves, and they were able to just have a conversation with adults. And there were some really amazing things that came from it. There were some job opportunities.
Yes, I think we have a few internships that are planned for next semester, and a few applications for post-graduation. It was really cool. I think the other part was having community members that some of the students recognized was a nice warm spot within a room of chaos. So the kids were definitely nervous. For a lot of them, this was their first time interacting with adults they have never met before. So hearing that it was somebody's mom or the ref from their soccer game because Mr. Richardson was there, all of those things helped them see that the community was there to support them and help them get ready for graduation.
I will tell you, there were a couple of kids that came across, and I had no idea that they'd grown up so fast.
Yes.
That they were seniors doing this, so that worked out well.
And then mock interview day was, we removed the friend and now they were going one-on-one. Or we did have the opportunity to set up a few panel interviews, which as we all know is becoming more of a common trend. So again, the students knocked it out of the park. They sat down, they were well prepared. Some of them brought their notes from the week. They brought their resumes printed out and ready to hand in. And they were getting not only feedback from their interview experience, but then one of our guests is a professional resume writer, so they picked out their favorite resume for the day. They gave the kids notes on things to change. They were very impressed with the items that were already on the student resumes, so.
So this is just some feedback we got from businesses, volunteers that came up to the events. So the first one is Mike Clay with New Edge Contractors. He said the staff and parents are doing a great job with the young people. They had very strong handshakes and kept great eye contact. Mrs. Bent, thank you so much for coming. She said I had a wonderful time and the students continued to impress me. We also had Miss Carrie Nagel with Shore United Bank. She said this was a fantastic event. Every student that sat with me had a plan and a direction. It was exciting to hear the futures they have in front of them. Thank you for all in the high school. I don't know, I'm reading up there, sorry.
It's fine.
Thank you for all you in the high school does to prepare our children for adulthood. We had Hazen Arnold with HydroSearch. He said, excellent event this morning, a great opportunity for kids and a great way for me to meet the next wave of potential employees. And then Ms. Gail Lundberg with Lundberg Builders said, I was impressed with their resumes and confidence.
I think overall, most of the adults that came in were expecting a lot of lost students and were highly impressed that if they did not know how they were getting there, they knew where they wanted to go, which I think a lot of direction came out of this more than I think the two of us were expecting. We were expecting a lot more needing help identifying pathways, and that wasn't the case, which was amazing. So then again, our students, I will just leave this one up here, but the kids had a blast. Overall, they were, and I'm gonna skip past the student comments if that's okay and get you guys to the graphs. This is the student feedback in data form. So they not only had fun doing this, but they recognized how important and how helpful this opportunity was. You can see for the mock interview experience, we have over 50% saying it was extremely helpful, and when you add the last two, we're at about 85% saying that they are a 4 out of 5 with helpful for this experience. So we do want to say thank you to everyone, not just our supervisors, because you guys were awesome to help us do this, but the English teachers, really without them, those 4 were very key in making this happen. And then our community members, if we could, the reason we have to stagger it is because we end up getting the same amazing volunteers for all of our events. So we had multiple community members volunteer for both events two weeks in a row. And then the volunteers and the students, just the students overall, they really showed up, they stepped it up. They might not have taken us seriously on day 1 when networking started, but they really, on day 2, you saw a difference in their appearance and their attitude towards everything. And it was like, oh, this is for real, this is here to help me. And then when they started hearing classmates leaving with saying, oh no, I'm gonna call that guy and he's gonna get me an internship, or he's gonna hire me when I graduate. It really started to trickle through that some kids were like, oh man, I gotta go fix what I look like.
For anybody watching tonight who does hiring for their company, or would be interested in helping next semester, because we'll do this every semester with that semester's English for Seniors, please reach out to me or to Mr. Tolley or Betsy Ricketts or Karen Hessen with your information. The more help, the better.
Yes.
And as you can see, the kids had a great time and found it very valuable, which was the main point we did this. And we look forward to doing it again. Thank you, ladies.
Yeah. If you don't want to wait till March, we have an event coming up this month. We would love to have more people for it.
We have National Apprenticeship Week coming up from the 18th to the 22nd, and we are going to have events at both high schools each day. So we have a County Clubs Day, Trades Day, Education Day, and a Military and Local Responders Day. So if anybody's interested in joining us for that, we'd love to have you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Awesome. Very nice.
All right, Ms. Hickey. So patient, very patient.
Good evening, President Bennett, Dr. Salins, board members, and executive team. For the record, I'm Julie Hickey, Coordinator of Food Services. I bring before you tonight the second read of Policy 240, Student Nutrition, Health, and Wellness. A local school wellness policy is the written document that guides the school district's efforts to establish a school environment that promotes students' health, well-being, and ability to learn. The policy is assessed and updated every 3 years. There was one public comment in reference to having an employee wellness policy, but since this policy was specific to students, the policy remained the same as the first read with no edits.
I wanted to add too, there was another comment that came in requesting like some additional details be put in the policy. And when we pointed that citizen to the regulation that accompanies the policy, they were happy with where this was at, so.
All right.
I think I was able to cut
All right,
that
any
one off before it
questions?
got here.
So we'll just see it next month.
Okay,
Is that right?
thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Or I won't see it
You
next
too.
month. You guys will see it next month. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Is Ms.
Talk about true
McHenry?
patience.
Yes.
Yes,
McHenry.
thank you.
Yes,
for your
thank you very
patience
much.
this evening.
Hello, everyone. President Benton,
Bennett, sorry.
That's all right.
Vice President Bennett, Dr. Kibler, Dr. Shalane, members of the board. I'm going to turn it over to Audrey, but this is our presentation for our financial statement audit ending June 30th of 2024.
President, can I make one comment? This is our yearly audit that we do every year for the Board of Education, which do other audits too. It is not the same one that we've discussed that the county's doing. So I just want to make sure the public knows that this is our audit. We're audited all the time, different grants, federal, state, but this other one that the county's doing will be coming out later.
Correct. We've just concluded a legislative audit. We've also just concluded an MSDE enrollment audit. We've just concluded our September 30th, thank you, Audrey, audit. And I will be speaking to the performance audit, a couple agenda items. Thanks for clarification.
Correct. So this is the financial statement audit for the year ended June 30th, 2024. And I believe this is available for those listening in on board docs, and it is on the website as well for the finance department. So in case anyone wants to follow along. So you have, the board should have that. First of all, thank you for having me. I believe you have copies in front of you. So I am going to direct you, if you turn to the page, it's at the bottom, page 3. This is the independent auditor's report, and I'm actually going to read, and I will try to go as quickly as possible, but I'm going to read the entire opinion section because I think that's important. We have audited the accompanying financial statements of the government activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County, component unit of Queen Anne's County, Maryland, the board, as of and for the year ended June 30th, 2024, and the related notes to the financial statements, which collectively comprise the board's basic financial statements as listed in the table of contents. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of the Board of Education of Queen Anne's County, Maryland, as of June 30th, 2024, and the respective changes in its financial position for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. This is probably the most important part of this audit. This means this is a clean opinion, unmodified, no issues to report. We didn't find any inconsistencies to bring to your attention. It's a clean audit. It's the best opinion you can get. As you turn to page 6, there's another report, which is the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance and other matters based on an audit of financial statements performed in accordance with government auditing standards. Under the section report on internal control, we found no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies to bring to your attention. However, I do have to add that material weaknesses or significant deficiencies may exist that have not been identified, as we are not testing every single transaction of the board. And the same thing with compliance, we found no issues to bring to your attention. The next section of the report that starts on about page 9 is the management discussion and analysis. And this is just a user-friendly version that discusses prior year versus current year changes in amounts. And that goes through, and again, if anybody has any questions when I go through anything, I would be happy to answer those. That goes from about page 9 through about page 16. And then the next section is your financial statements. So the first 2 pages, pages 18 and 19, are your statement of net position and your statement of activities. And these are on a full accrual basis of accounting. So this is where you show fixed assets and long-term liabilities and things of that nature. I'm not going to go through those unless anybody has any questions on those. I'm going to have you turn to, it's page 20 and 21. And so the first on that page is the balance sheet, governmental funds. And I will just highlight a few items for you under total government funds, which is the column on page 20 all the way to the right. Total cash as of June 30th, 2024 is at about 12.7 million, with total assets at about 23 million. And that is comparable to the prior year at the same time. Under liabilities, total liabilities at June 30th, 2024 are about 19.4 million. That was sitting at about 16.5 million in the prior year. And then your total fund balance is at about 3.6 million versus about 7.1 million in the prior year. On the page that follows, page 22 and then 23, are your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Total revenues for the year in that total governmental column, all the way on the right, are at about 155 million. That's up 20 million from the prior year. And then total expenditures, if you go down, are sitting at about 161 million, and expenditures were up about 21.5 million from year to year. Any questions on those two statements? Now, as you turn to page 24 and 25, that's your statement of fiduciary net position. So that's your retiree OPEB trust fund and your custodial funds. No significant changes in those from year to year. The next section that starts on page 26 and runs through, it runs through, to page 51 are the notes to the financial statements. No changes in those notes from year to year. I mean, the numbers have changed from year to year, but there's no new notes added or anything that I feel we need to bring to your attention unless someone has a question. And then under required supplementary information on page 53, which is usually a page everyone is most concerned with as I do these presentations, shows your budgeted to actual results for the year. And these numbers, the actual numbers, include your revenues, expenditures, and your encumbrances at the end of the year, which for GAAP purposes, encumbrances aren't considered expenditures, but for budgetary purposes, they are. So you will see total revenues for the year, original and final, were budgeted about 118 million, and actual revenues for the year came in at about 124 million. I think it's important to note when we look at that restricted federal, state, and other, if we pull that out of the equation, total unrestricted revenues that can be used for other than restricted, which have to be used for specific items, sit at about 111 million for the year. And then looking down under expenditures, total expenditures and encumbrances for the year at about 127 million. And again, if we pull out those restricted expenditures, total expenditures for the year, we're sitting at about 114 million. So the excess or deficiency of revenues, the deficiency of revenues over expenditures before other financing uses is about 2.7 million on that basis. Are there any questions?
And this 630,000 that we're at deficit, this board heard a lot of stuff after June, you know, 1 million, 2 million, 500,000. This 630 is the audited number that we've got now.
Correct, and actually, if you go back to page 20, for the total fund balance for the general fund on a GAAP basis, your total fund balance for the general fund was 570,000.
Okay.
And that really, there's a non-spendable portion where you had paid for some things in advance at about 1.2, but total fund balance of about 570. With encumbrances, it's right around 630,000. But there was a little additional fund balance that could have been used in there, so.
Because, I mean, the next boards have to be very cautious because our fund balance, you know, we've used it up. It's not there.
That's correct.
And everybody knows you don't use fund balances for reoccurring costs. But, you know,
Correct.
it's-
If fund balance goes into a deficit position, that's when then MSD is gonna want an action plan. I'm not sure if you talked with them, but
Yes, we currently do not have to do a formal action plan for the state because of our positive overall net fund balance, but we are preparing an informal one for internal purposes as well to ensure that we do not continue to run negative.
And I will say, we're seeing similar things happen with Blueprint at other boards of education right now, so.
You know, I agree with that. But the only one I'm worried about is right here.
I understand, and I'm just
Board is right, doesn't
presenting,
matter.
I'm just presenting right here, but just.
Look, I know it's
to make everyone aware.
statewide problem. I mean, we all say that, but
Correct.
we've got to take care of our own house.
Correct. And I thought it was an interesting point the individual made earlier where there are limited funding sources. You've got county, state, and then restricted. Restricted is set aside for, it's got to be used for these things. So it's got to come from the county and state
Yeah, I
ultimately.
mean, that was the thing that we discussed in length.
Right.
About of the new money the state, or the new money the county gave us. The state gave us 800,000 and most of it was restricted.
Right.
Once, you know, which, you know, it's not rockets. I mean, most of our money is restricted because time you pay benefits and salaries and stuff like that, there's very little left to go for other things.
Very true.
we're coming up on another tight and tough budget.
It's hard to get that across, though.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Well,
the following year,
I know,
we're
you say it
anticipating.
every.
I've been saying it since I
Yeah,
got here.
but we got to get over this and, you know, make some real hard decisions. There can be some hard decisions for the next board.
Yeah.
Because, you know, and I think those things need to be put out early. Nobody wants to yell fire in the movies, but are we gonna, you know, not honor a contract? Are we gonna sit there and have to lay off, employees? What's gonna have to happen if we don't get proper funding? And what are those numbers? Because it's a backwards system that we do, where we have to do all this up front, and then we don't even know our funding until May or June. It, you know, it's very frustrating. I mean, I've talked to this board, I've talked to other board members. It's a frustrating situation to be in when you're trying to keep everybody happy. We've heard tonight from people, they don't want larger class sizes, which I understand, but, and, you know, there's only so much money there. And if we don't get it, then we have to have reasons of what we're gonna do to make that balance, because September the 1st, we're gonna open up schools, no matter
And then
what.
September 3rd, we don't even get how much we get until September 30th when those
Nothing.
numbers come out. so-
Yeah, we even
Right.
make this better. But our county, in all
all
fairness,
backwards.
went over 6.2 million of
Yeah.
new money, so, you know, I feel they're doing their share. It's just that, there's a lot of demands.
I do appreciate Mrs. Mitchell's comments this evening as it relates to, you know, kind of going everywhere. Don't just come to this board and say, you
We're
know,
not
you need
doing
to
our
do
job.
X, Y, Z.
Yep.
You also need to express that respectfully to your commissioners, but also at the state level. And I can tell you that the Superintendent's Association is really partnering up with MABE and MACO to really have some strong legislative, you know, initiatives this year and priorities, so that we collectively go in to this session with some really highlighted areas that we all say, hey, these are maybe smaller fixes, but can have a huge impact. Or maybe, you know, pushing some of the timelines, you know, narrowing the focus of the pre-K 3 and things like that, that, you know, budgetarily have this huge impact on us as a district. So, you know, while we are in the front runners of, you know, having concerns with budget, there's, just like Audra said, there's a ton of people, counties and districts and superintendents right behind us that are, you know, they did have larger fund balances, so they were able to plug holes. But next year, they're not going to be able to do that.
Using fund balances is just plugging a hole.
It is, well,
Right.
so is furlough days.
Yeah,
It's the
that's right.
same
Well,
exact thing, right?
Right
We
now,
talked
we're in a
about that.
whole
You're
4
right.
days to start next, I mean, the
Yeah, I
two
didn't want to say
current
that's
board members
4
and new
days,
board
not
members have to
5.
Yeah,
understand.
not 5.
It
4 days.
wasn't 5, it was 4, and 2
4.
were given back with half days, which is why there's so many
Right.
half days.
But I will say that while we are asking people to work with, we're talking about all the stuff that we're doing as boards of education across the state. One of the things that they talked about at our legislative committee meeting is that when we go up to the legislature, they're sick of hearing from us. They know that we are complaining all the time.
Yeah.
What they need to hear from are from our constituents, from our parents, from the communities, to go to the legislature and say, you need to do more to support our boards. And until they
true.
hear that, I mean, they hear from us all the time, and it's kind of like.
And that's why MABE and MACO
Yeah.
and PAZAM and all the organizations are kind of coming together because they are sick of hearing from us each individually. So we're like, we're just
Exactly.
gonna hit them as a whole, you know, together with top priorities that say, hey, these are the small things you can do that are gonna make a huge impact.
Correct.
You know, it's got great initiatives. There's been a lot of positive things we've been able to do, but it's not sustainable.
Correct.
Period. It's just not sustainable. So, yeah, those changes that may happen in legislative session this year aren't going to impact next year's budget. That's our problem. We have one more really tough year to get through with budget.
But that
And then we're
tough
going to
years,
be better.
that tough years come with consequences, and I think the public, teachers, parents, and everybody need to know, larger class sizes, possibly not honoring the, it's not our decision, it could be the new board, what's gonna have to happen to meet this thing?
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, I mean, and we're not, it's no use to wait till May, when
Correct.
the commissioners give us, you know, 2/3 of what we
Right.
need.
Yeah.
And sit there and say, okay, here's what we're gonna have to do. I think we need to be upfront with people and sit there and say, this is what could happen.
Audrey, thank you so much.
Sure, and I would like
Thank
to,
you very much.
yeah, I would like to say, we do, the turnaround on this is very quick, and I would like to thank Ms. Gass and her entire team. They helped us tremendously too. It's a joint effort to get everything out.
We appreciate Audrey
Yeah.
very much.
Thank
So
you
thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And then, hello again.
Yes.
Just for the record, I'm Whitney Gass, the CFO. So in front of you, it's for information purposes. This was our expenditure report that ended as of last month, so October 31st. And then if you have any questions or concerned about this, so I do just want to highlight that this does not include the budget transfers for our furlough amount yet. That will come to you next meeting. We're working on the details and the support just because it is a lot of moving pieces. But so this right now is excluding the savings that we're making from our furlough days. Or not making, but using in other places for our furlough days.
I just had a question on the expenditure status. Category 2000, it's at 143% for the contracted services.
I'm sorry, for which category?
Category 05, 2000, instructional costs, other revenues. The
Instructional costs.
contracted services, it's at
instructional
143%. Page 1 of the expenditure status report. Contracted services.
300 and the budget,
305,000, yeah,
Yeah.
the budget. And we're over
So
by.
she's
sorry, I'm
seeing the negative of 130, and as Whitney Ms. Gass just shared, her department will be coming to you with budget transfers, because what happens with that furlough is you're taking the money from one area of your budget and putting it in another area of your budget to cover costs that were over,
Right.
that we anticipated over. So you're gonna see that through here. Next month, the board will get the budget transfers.
Right, which is.
will plug all those holes that are in the negative.
Right, but
because
I
it's
didn't think we
taking-
had our contracted services over. I mean, I thought this was to.
We do.
So, and certain items, I know one of the things that we didn't get to account for, or I don't want to say didn't account for, but we got late notice of insurance increases. One of these was for some of our license agreements. This was specifically for leased equipment. Some of these too, we have PO, like, as I'm new and learning, some of the items that were expensed in a budget category that were actually budgeted somewhere else. So I'm working through expenditure reviews as well on everything that has already taken place in '25 to ensure it's in the correct spot in the budget as well. And the main key with this is the savings from the furlough that will be redistributed are not in here, so.
Okay.
And we've talked about it before, and we've gone from our own private food service to doing it in-house.
And that's not any of this.
Yeah, that's completely different budget.
This
I
is
understand
yes.
that, but I've talked to you about that, and I
Yes.
just hope the
That
next
is coming
board pays
next.
attention
Yes.
to this,
Yes.
that, you know, we might save money, I just hope we don't lose money.
Right.
But I just think that needs to be kept an eye on that.
Yes.
Because that can be, you know, we're educators, we're not food service. Maybe we can handle this, I'm not saying we can't.
Right.
But we do, I think, need to have an item and just keep that separate to show where we are.
Yes, correct. And actually, Ms. Julie Hickey's doing a fantastic job of
She really
managing
is.
that, and I know
Okay.
it's not always the easiest, but is being mindful of that, and we're working together to finalize those budgets. We're 100% almost finished, and then we will present as well.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, any public comment for,
Oh,
Wait, you went.
wait.
Just regular budget discussions.
oh,
Yeah.
I know Dr.
sure did.
Jones
I
is
don't
waiting.
want to skip that
No.
one, yes. All right, yes, 805.
So I
School
did
upcoming.
share just a little bit that, our enrollment audit is complete through MSDE, and legislative audit of now
Finally,
nearly
almost
2
completed.
years has been finalized. And, Ms. Gass and her department have really been working diligently. Again, with Audrey, you can tell that this is very well done and articulates where we are at the close of June 30th. But we also have been working collaboratively with the commissioners. They have a finance team, and we've been meeting with them on a regular basis. And they have asked for us to participate in a performance audit. I've already shared that. I just wanted to update the board that performance audit is well on its way. They've conducted several interviews. I have an interview on Friday with them. They've also collected a lot of different information, and they are, gathering up questions for us. We're answering questions as we go back and forth. My impression is we are on track to conclude that prior to Thanksgiving. So the board should see that report at their board meeting in December, and just to be able to share that out with everybody. So, we're complying with that, and we'll continue to update that. As it relates to our own personal budget, November is the time that we tend to kick off.
Right.
We will not be doing quite as an extensive budget process that we've done before. We typically have our teams create this elaborate list of what their needs are and have them
wants and
present,
their-
but
right.
we really don't have the money to support that. So we're kind of, talking among ourselves of how do we scale that down a little bit to really still listen to their needs. It's very important so that we can present a budget to the commissioners that we need, but also how do we kind of condense that down, knowing this year is going to be challenging, and then maybe hold those things for the following years to come, post next year, so.
I would think,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think with the new budget, because we'll have 3 new members coming in, you got the contract, which that's a fixed number.
It's a fixed number.
You got the blueprint, which there's $10,000 per teacher that's gonna sign it for the stuff, which you can do an estimate of how
Yeah.
much that's gonna cost. That
We
could be,
do.
hun-
We
that
have
could be hundreds of
fixed numbers.
thousands of dollars.
Our insurance is fairly fixed. I mean,
Insurance, if we're gonna figure 8 or 9%,
we did 7.5,
well,
yeah.
what
And that was under the recommendation of our consultants,
Consortium.
Bolton, that
Yep,
gives
and our
us our,
consortium.
and the county also is doing 7.5 in their calculations, so
and we
we
need
were
to have
aligned
a
with
thing
them.
on our operation budget of 3 or 4% just for
Yep.
fuel
Yes,
and
that's
all
what we
this
did.
stuff.
Yeah,
And I think all it needs to be put down and sit down. I don't know what that number, I'm just gonna pick a number.
about
And say
7.5
7 or 10 million, whatever number, that could be the next board to decide that. But
It's
say,
almost
okay,
8,
if we need $8 million, and that's what the number is, and the county decides to sit there and do 5 or 6, and the state does their 500 or 1 million, what are you gonna do?
Right.
And also put in there, what's it, 1.3 or 1.6 million for furlough money? Because you've
that.
saved 4 days.
yeah, at $340.
That'll all be for this year,
340,000.
however.
It's all for this year, but the balance this year's budget, we've taken 4 days away. And if we don't take 4 days away next year,
Oh,
you're gonna
I
have the same
understand. Okay.
problem. And I think
I
that people
apologize.
better understand that pretty quickly.
Right, well,
Because
and we
if they-
also had line items like, we took out our textbook line item, that was $500,000. We did cut, though, the synergistic contract, so that's a line item in there, so we really do have to look at where.
But we
what those
need,
numbers are.
those 4 days are sitting right out here, and
They
that's,
are,
that's.
$340,000 times 4
well,
is
that-
sitting
well,
out there that we
that's
have
$1
to
million,
adjust
$3 million,
first
$4
before we move forward.
To be even.
Absolutely,
I think that has to be looked at very, very, very closely.
yes.
Well, and I don't want to, this is not a popular topic, but I know that when we were going through these hard choices, we were thinking that there might have been some positions that are not in front of the students that might be redundant or maybe not needed.
Yep.
So as hard of a decision as that is, I think we should be looking at all the positions within our school district
I don't
to
disagree.
see what we can,
Yes, sometimes we
Like,
it's always been that way, our roles have changed.
Right,
and
right,
Things are,
yeah.
people are being used in a little bit different than maybe they had initially come on board with. Looking at all of our title grants and things like that, making sure that we're, optimizing those grants for the grant positions, to be able to cover grant,
right, not
actual
this,
people.
yeah, right, not people in front of the students, because I know that when
I
I
just-
sat at the
right.
board, the round table
Yes.
with the principals, every single one of them, the number one was permanent subs.
Yes.
Was their number one thing, and we
was.
can't have that if we,
We can't, but last year we had $650,000 in subs. We put another $300,000 in that budget. We're spending close to $1 million
We
in
are spending $1
substitutes
million
for teachers that,
'cause we have
look,
other-
they have their
That's
time
regular
off, they got
That's
this,
just
they got
regular
that.
teachers we have.
But that's just,
suspend,
that's just to put
substitutes
teachers in
and
the
things
thing.
like that, yeah.
And
Substitute, bus driver, substitute.
I
right.
think something else we gotta look at is these half-days. I guarantee you, last Friday, we did not, we must have saved on electric because we didn't have a lot of lights on. But I'm guaranteed there wasn't any people in school.
It has been warm. It's
Huh?
been
Yeah,
been
it's
warm
been
this
warm
fall, so
first
we're
thing
Well,
on
it
that.
might
having
not
to
be.
turn the heat on yet.
But, these half-days, the kids aren't in school, people are missing school. And I mean, it's,
Yeah,
and I haven't never gotten an answer on what is our absenteeism of teachers? Is it any worse than our students? And that's something I think maybe the next board should look at.
And I just wanted to highlight one item, and I wanted to say thank you to everyone within our central office as well. We've reallocated some of our resources, and I know that has put extra work on other people as well. So, but everyone has taken a part, and we've really worked as a team, I think, and we are trying to make this work with the limited resources that we do have. So,
all right.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? I guess I just don't want to talk about the budget. All right, any public comment?
No one else signed up.
All right, the next meeting will be December 4th, 2024, at 6 PM, minus 3 of us. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much.
Thank you.